And as last seems not to be seen of the PDP internal conflict with the G5 governors, Governor Samuel Ortom yesterday met with Governor Odom Emmanuel of Akwa Ibom State, insisting Ayu must go. Now this as the sealed Atiku Okonkwo campaign office in Port Harcourt reopens. Well, Governor Wike says he's set to announce his preferred presidential candidate in January. What chances does the party have at unification and victory with the presidential elections less than 65 days away? And to look into these events, a spokesperson of the PDP Presidential Campaign Council, Senator Dino Melaye. Thank you very much. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us, though remotely. All right, so 1 minute, it looks like the worst is yet to be seen. And then again, it's looking again like, well, things may be improving gradually and slowly with the whole Wike Atiku situation. The Atiku Okonkwo office was sealed in Port Harcourt. Now we hear it's been unsealed. What exactly is the thinking in the Atiku camp? Any hope that this relationship will come back to where it used to be? We lost the audio there with Senator Dino Melaye, who's joining us remotely. Hopefully we can quickly restore connection so we can have a brief chat with him, find out exactly what the reactions in the PDP camp really is to the unsealing of the Atiku Okonkwo campaign office right there at the GRA in Port Harcourt. Of course, the reason for sealing that particular office initially was that it was not given the permission or the permit to use it as a quasi public, campaign area, because the GRA in Port Harcourt is strictly a residential area. Okay, I'm told we have Senator Dino Melaye back on the line now. Senator Dino Melaye, you were trying to make a point in response to my question.
Yeah, what I was saying is that the office was sealed, but our people went back to that place and unsealed it since yesterday, and they've been operating from there because there was no basis for the sealing in the first place. And our party leadership at the Presidential Campaign Council in Rivers State went there, unsealed it, opened it, and I can tell you that it's functional right now. And the perceived problem between 5 governors and the PDP, by the grace of God, will soon be over. I want to assure you that the PDP is one. And as we swing into the new year, by the grace of God, we're going to come up with a united front where everyone, by the grace of God, will be part of the campaign. The PDP is one formidable political party. You cannot write off disagreements. And I want to tell you that all hands are on deck to make sure that there's unity and peace, and we're going to this election together as one big political family.
Yes, indeed, and that's what Nigerians are hoping for. But help me clarify this. When you say people unsealed the Atiku Okonkwo campaign office in GRA there in Port Harcourt, who exactly are people? I mean, is it the Wike government, the state government that reopened or unsealed that facility? Or is it the Atiku supporters? Help us understand that.
It is not those who sealed it that unsealed it. It is our own supporters and then the leadership of the Presidential Campaign Council that went there, unsealed it, and moved in. And since yesterday, that's happened, and they've been operating from there, and no any eventualities since yesterday.
But Governor Wike, Nyesom Wike actually insists that there are some, people who are trying to foment or cause violence or trouble in Rivers State, and that's part of the reason why that facility was sealed in the first place. And now, when you go ahead against the Executive Order 22, which Wike signed weeks back, is that not taking things into your own hands?
Section 1(3) of the Constitution is very, very clear that any other law in the Federal Republic of Nigeria that is not consistent with the provisions of the Constitution to the level of its inconsistency shall be null and void. And that executive order infringe upon fundamental human rights of individuals and is in conflict with the provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So you cannot just enact orders that will operate against the provisions of the Constitution. But I haven't said that. Our people are in the office. The place has been unsealed, and they've been operating from there since yesterday.
Now, where does all of this leave the overtures towards Wike to, well, maybe see reason from the Atiku side? Because it doesn't look like there's much progress being made right now as far as that relationship is concerned. Or are you saying that the autumn meeting, the governor of Benue State, who is one of the G5, who's been insisting that Ayu, the chairman of the party, must step down. He had a meeting with Udom Emmanuel, the DG of the Atiku campaign. Are you telling us that there's progress being made as far as that's concerned?
Yeah, I would like to make a correction that Udom Emmanuel is the chairman of the Presidential Campaign Council, not the DG. Governor Tambuwal is the Director General of the campaign. I haven't made that correction. I'll quickly tell you that a lot of negotiation is going on, a lot of talks going on. And you will recall that even sometime last week, the Director General of the campaign, who is the governor of Sokoto State, met with Autumn, the governor of Benue State. Now, again, Udom Emmanuel met with Autumn. And other meetings are going on to make sure that the PDP, as one political family, we are together. So the old noise is from the APC, and they are taking Panadol for another man's headache. And I want to tell you that we are going into this election as a united, indivisible, big, strong, and reliable political party.
Noise and hoopla about goings on within the PDP. What's that really got to do with the APC? Because what they're saying, all observers, what they're saying is that the PDP is not willing to step down as far as the top people who are concerned. Ayu, for example, he's not willing to make the sacrifice in spite of the fact that it could cost the party the presidential election in 2023. Who really should be making sacrifices at this point? Is it Atiku? Is it Ayu himself? Or who? Or Wike?
Not everything that is politically correct, that is expedient. And it will be very, very illogical to start making some very serious changes at the eve of election. To be, to a constitutional crisis where, but I want to assure you that, like I said, it is just a domestic issue. It will be settled domestically, and we're going to go into the elections. And I want to tell you that the crisis have no capacity or potency of stopping Atiku from becoming the next president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Nigerians have decided that they want a change. Everyone is tired of 7 years of insecurity, of hunger, of pervasive insecurity all over the place, bad roads, health problems, economic problems, no unity in the country. The country is more divided than any other time in our national history. And we want to change the change. And everyone is aware that Atiku, by the grace of God, is the next president of this country. So the earlier everyone joined the train, the better for us. But I want to tell you that we will solve our problems, but these problems really have the potency or capacity of stopping Atiku from becoming the next president. That's a capital no.
Capital no. Dino Melaye, Senator, will put you on hold. Of course, when we return, President Muhammadu Buhari celebrates 80th birthday as serving president. Stay with us. Welcome back, everyone. I am Ngozi Alebu. You're watching This Week. President Muhammadu Buhari on Friday attended a special birthday celebration in his honor a few days after he clocked 80 years. Now, the symbolic celebration at the State House held 5 months before his exit from his final tenure in office. The president has received several birthday wishes, including that from the PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar, wishing him good health to lead. But as the president marks his last birthday as a serving president of the nation, he says he's being harassed despite trying his best to make Nigeria better. And there are many criticisms of poor performance in government as the APC continues to blame Nigeria's woes on the PDP's 16-year rule. We x-ray how has the APC government performed within the last 7.5 years under President Muhammadu Buhari. Well, to look into this, I'm being joined by Senator, we're not having Itainan anymore, unfortunately. I'm joined also by Felix Morka from our Lagos studio. He's the APC National Publicity Secretary, joining us virtually. I still have Dino Melaye, and of course right here in the studio with me is spokesperson Obidati Presidential Campaign Council in the person of Kenneth Okonkwo. Thank you all of you gentlemen for joining us on this week. Now let me start with you, Mr. Felix Morka. Let me quote what President Buhari himself said. I've tried my best, but my best is just not good enough. He says he's been harassed and, you know, that Nigerians don't seem to appreciate his good work. Do you think history will judge President Buhari correctly or positively? Felix Morka.
Well, thank you. Yes, thank you very much, Ngozi, and compliments of the season to you and to our viewers. I think history will judge Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari very generously for his work, for his steadfastness, for his really, truly transformative interventions in the governance of this country across all sectors over the last 7 years, nearly 8 years. This president has done more than any other individual president has done since, you know, the inauguration of our current nascent democracy in 1999. No other president compares with the amount of dedication, of accomplishments that this president has demonstrated over these last few years. You know, I mean, look, we're in an election season, and it's easy for anyone, any individual, any group of persons, or even political parties to try to deride or diminish the accomplishment of this president. But the fact remains, undisputably, that if you take the time to look at the figures and look at the data and the actual blow-by-blow account of the record of work of this president in all sectors, and I say in all sectors of our national life, if you do that with any modicum of objectivity, you will find and conclude that this individual, who is our president, has done an enormous amount of work. And now, if you like, I mean, I can go into a lot of that detail, but, you know, I leave that up to you if you want that.
Great. Thank you for leaving it there for now. Let me bring it to Kenneth Okonkwo. What do you have to say to what Felix Morka just said? He says, look, of all presidents that Nigeria has had, there is no president that has performed as well as President Muhammadu Buhari.
Well, first of all, let me say that I'm already on a Christmas mood. I wouldn't have really loved to use this opportunity to be talking about this. Let me say Merry Christmas to everybody, and I wish you a prosperous New Year. If you listen to the prose that the APC spokesperson or Publicity Secretary just did, it's just a prose. He talked about his government doing well, no figures. He boasted about, oh, this and that, no statistics. We are tired of being bamboozled with proses. We want actualities. Let me help him with the statistics. And I'm going to be very conversational with it. I will start with the television that we are watching. APC government promised us that before they finish, we'll be watching digital television. They failed. They said they will give us Nigerian Air that will take the place of Nigerian Airways. After the 5th attempt and after spending billions of naira, they failed. They said they are going to take 100 million persons out of poverty. They ended up taking in 133.3 million persons into poverty. They have been busy building pyramids of poverty consistently. They said they were going to, give us 1 naira to $1, and they are ending up giving us 1,000 naira to $1. They met an inflation figure of about 9%. Today we have about 20-something%.
Yeah, Kenneth, I could let you go on, but what about what people are saying are Buhari's legacies in infrastructure development, that he has done a lot. Look at the rail system across the country. Look at the roads. He's built the second Niger bridge, which many governments before now have failed to do.
Good. Let me concede that I'm very excited about the second Niger bridge. But let me also regret that all these infrastructure purportedly built, we are all built on borrowed money, and none was creatively adopted to produce any revenue. None. Meaning that for giving us second Niger bridge, you have taken the next generations into bondage of debts. And they want to situate the debts to the GDP. What a fraud. And they will mention statistics of advanced countries saying that they borrow this to their GDP. GDP is the total of the products and services produced in a country in a year. So when you want to situate your debts to GDP, you have to be a productive country, not a country that is producing nothing. And you're talking about GDP. Right. That is why their revenue can no longer service their debts. So this government of APC has failed. And the most honestly annoying thing is that rather than even trying to get a successor that might even ameliorate the problem, they now made a choice of a candidate that does not even understand statistics. All right,
let me bring in a very quick, I'll bring in Dino before I go back to Felix Morka to respond to what Kenneth Okonkwo has just said. Dino Melaye, well, the APC says whatever failures that are being perceived of the APC, that the PDP laid the foundation, that the PDP lost the opportunity to lay the right foundation for Nigeria's democracy development in all spheres to take off properly. What say you?
Anyway, I want to start Ejoma by saying that to start with, I want to advise my brother Felix that the gargantuan, colossal lie he just told, I advise that he apologize to God Almighty. And if he's a Christian, he should read Psalm 55 and ask for mercy. And if he's a Muslim, he should tonight do 1,000 astaghfirullah to ask God for mercy in a very civilized I'm sorry, Ngozi, I'm sorry. My apology, Ngozi. And again, if I will advise that he listens to his elders, because I know that his community, his traditional rulers will summon him to a village meeting for telling this public lie. Having said that, I want to congratulate President Buhari for turning 80. And my prayer is that the Almighty God will grant him long life, will give him sound health, and I wish him well. But to talk about the APC-led administration under President Muhammadu Buhari, I will say in the economy, F9, power, F9, agriculture, F9, security, F9, infrastructure, F9. In fact, F9 parallel. That is what the Buhari administration have given to Nigerians. I don't even need to go into statistics and being scientific. Practical illustration. A bag of rice in 2014 was 8,500. Today it's 45,000 now. Just yesterday, people were flying from Abuja to Lagos for 120,000 naira economy. How much is a loaf of bread today? From 120 naira, a loaf of bread today is over 1,000 naira. There is no poor man's food. Garri is no longer a poor man's food in Nigeria today. Insecurity is pervasive. When Buhari took over power, he promised 3 million jobs per year. At the expiration of his 8 years today, 3 times 8, we're supposed to have generated 24 million jobs. But no, instead, over 50 million people have now joined the unemployment market. So there is no sector of our national life that the Buhari administration or the APC have done well. From the fastest growing economy in Africa.
Let me still stay with you very quickly. Dino, if you'll allow me, the president only just returned from the U.S. Africa Leadership Summit in the United States, and he met with Joe Biden, the U.S. president, who did not spare any words in praising President Muhammadu Buhari's legacy in deepening democracy, not only in Nigeria, but in the rest of Africa. And President Buhari himself has said if there's any legacy he wants to leave behind, free, fair, and credible elections. Dino, very quickly before I bring in Felix.
Yeah, I want to say that is totally incorrect. The legacy he will be leaving behind is now, if in 2023 he conducts a free, fair election, then he will leave one legacy, and that will be the only legacy. So it is not correct for the president himself to say yesterday that he tried his best, but his best was not good enough. That's a confessional statement. That is self-acceptance of failure. He agreed, the president agreed that I have failed because he said his best was not good enough. In every ramification today in this country, this government have failed. We are more disunited than even during the Civil War. The unity of this country is more important than the economy and other, but today there is no unity in this country. There is, agitation in every part of Nigeria. There is poverty all over our faces. From the fastest growing economy in Africa, we have become the poverty capital of the world. So what I'm saying in essence is simple, that the APC have brought nothing other than pain, sorrow, death, insecurity to this country. And
let me bring in Felix.
Nigeria. You cannot, that is why I sympathize. That's why I sympathize with Felix, because you cannot speak about APC without looking stupid. You cannot speak about APC. That's
all right,
why my friend is not flowing.
Let me bring in Felix. So, it will not be fair if I allow you to continue. Felix Morka, I'm sure you heard everything. Who really is to blame at all if there are blames to be assigned? Would you say that the APC has been in the driving seat of governance in the last 7.5 years in Nigeria? Or is it President Muhammadu Buhari?
Well, President Muhammadu Buhari is a member of APC and he's serving as President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, elected on the platform of APC. So President Muhammadu Buhari is the leader of our party, and we are, completely proud of his record. Now, first of all, let me remind my dear brother Dino that he is not a minister of, Christianity, of Islam, and he's not in a position to advise me on my spiritual life. So I think, he should cut it out. Second of all, I think that, President Muhammadu Buhari, in his modesty, in his, understandable modesty, will make comments that does not in any way undercut the magnitude of his contribution to the national life of our country. Now, Dino talks about APC being unable to unite Nigeria. I mean, is that even something that Dino should be saying? My dear brother Dino, you shouldn't be saying that. Now, listen, look at your party. Atiku Abubakar, who is your presidential candidate that you speak so, eloquently about, has been unable to begin to unite a small political party in this country, the PDP. How does he intend, where does he intend to find the capacity to unite Nigeria? You see, when you say that, it's easy to say. Words are free. You don't pay any money for words. So you can say what you want. But the fact of the matter is that this country is by far more united than Atiku Abubakar, your presidential candidate, has the potential to even aspire to unite. Governor Wike, just a few days ago, maybe yesterday or a couple of days ago, completely sealed the premises of your party. Now, why is it so difficult for your candidate who promises to unite this country to bring Wike to the table and actually work out the difficulties, whatever it is that is completely torn your party to pieces? Why can't he actually do that? He can't do that. You want to convince Nigerians, these 200 million or plus Nigerians, that he has the potential, the capacity to bring the entire country together with all of our complexities. You know what, listen, you can speak those words if you like, but I don't buy it, and I know that millions of Nigerians don't buy it because there's no shred of truth to it. Now, about my brother Kenneth, look, fact of the matter is that, we are just 7 years plus into our administration. We took power and government from a party that was in office since 1999 that did nothing except the profligate use and appropriation of national resources. $60 billion of our foreign reserve was completely frittered away with no record, nothing at all to show. Up to 20 billion when we took power in 2015. How dare anyone, whether yourself or Dino, speak to, economic accomplishments? Dino Melaye, my dear brother, you know as well as I do, and I think many Nigerians know, that your government of, about 16 years completely made a huge, humongous mess. I know huge and humongous can be synonyms, but I use both to underscore the severity of the absolute pauperization that you inflicted on this country. You know what, I'm not somebody given to a lot of words, but I tell you most sincerely that a day will come, history will document the damage you did to this country. APC over the last 7 years has been trying, just struggling to clear the mess you have made. So don't come on national television to actually, pontificate. You don't have the audacity to do that. I'm sorry, with due respect to you.
Felix Morka, thank you very much. Let me bring it to Kenneth Okonkwo here. Well, it seems to be a blame game really going on here. Your party, the Labour Party, we've been hearing over and over again from Peter Obi that he will unite the country. So apparently the unity of Nigeria is in question. But, I mean, is it fair really to completely write off President Muhammadu Buhari, just like I pointed out earlier? I mean, he's been given commendations about democracy and how he has deepened it and, further plans to do so. I mean, we're here, your party, the Labour Party and other parties actually are enjoying, seemingly, from the free reign that President Muhammadu Buhari seems to have given, democratic culture in Nigeria. Kenneth?
Yes, at one time in history, I had confessed my personal likeness for President Buhari. Unfortunately for him, I love Nigeria more. If I have the facts that I would have used today to defend him like I defended him in the past, I would say so. But one thing I forbid is telling myself a lie, because to thine own self be true. There is nothing on the table for me to use to defend APC. Nothing. And that is why when both of them are talking, I don't know what both of them are still waiting in their parties. They should make a competition on who failed more. The competition between PDP and APC is who failed more. because both of them are failures. Let's take the issue of power. I saw Atiku Abubakar personally saying that on the eve of their leaving office, they commissioned 5 companies and gave them almost all the money for power. And he confessed that unfortunately, they did not deliver. For going almost 24 years, we cannot even have power. These two parties, both of them are sharing 71 months of ASU strike at home. When one party, like I said, when one party, PDP, is talking about unity, excuse me, please, let me say one thing about unity. You don't give what you don't have. This is 7 months after the presidential primary election. 7 months. And the party PDP is still irretrievably and irreconcilably differing on issue. What are they differing on? Power and money. Nothing else. Now, Ayu is established by Wike that he is corrupt because Wike presented facts and Ayu has not satisfactorily disputed them. Why has he not resigned? Now, the 5 governors, I must confess, are even lenient to be insisting that the concession they need is Ayu resigning. Actually, they should be talking about they should be talking about Atiku himself stepping down. Atiku himself told Jonathan that he should step down based on zoning. Jonathan traveled abroad to plead with him to allow him to complete his tenure, and he refused.
Yeah, well, the
and
train,
then Atiku said it's the turn of the Southeast
the train
to
seems to have left
the next president of the Nigeria.
Kenneth.
And he usurped it. So they should tell him to step down. But, you know, asking for Ayu is a concession. So it is really troubling that they are even considering it, telling you how unfortunate democracy lives on compromise. Now, Ayu himself said it. If a presidential candidate, because I detest lies, should emerge from the north, he will resign. He said it.
But Kenneth, let me come in here. I mean, you talk about the PDP and the APC,
I don't know
how
why
they have been.
Me. I've not even made any point.
Don't worry, I'll let you land on this. The Labour Party doesn't seem to be without its own share or dose of crisis. Doyin Okupe, the erstwhile DG of the Peter Obi Dati campaign council, found himself in a situation rather embarrassingly too, being convicted by a law court for, of course, flouting the Money Laundering Act. He stepped down, paid 13 million naira for fine against the 2-year sentence that he would have received. Talk about that. Because what it looks like is the more things change, the more things remain the same. Yeah. If APC is whatever, other parties are guilty of the same.
Now, may I state it clearly? The act that Doyin Okupe performed, that he's been held accountable by the court, was done when he was the senior special assistant to the president of PDP extraction on public affairs. Let's make it clear. So you should be asking PDP why they employed somebody and could not even give him the right to explain to him the legal implications of his act in a law that they made.
Yeah, but the Labour Party still allowed him to become the DG of the party in spite of the fact that he had this burden of a case around his neck.
Good, that's where I'm coming in. Because the issue at stake is that constitutionally he's innocent until proved guilty. Secondly, it was an act done before he came into Labour Party. And when you're entering into a party, by constitution, you're free to enter any party. And nobody has any power to stop you. Right. Except there is constitutional limitations.
That's not the question. The question is...
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So he came into the party. He is suitable for the DG by all ramifications. He's not convicted of any crime. And the crime he was convicted of is not based on dishonesty and corruption that would have disqualified him to occupy any political post.
Right, the judge said that much.
Good. So it has nothing to do with Labour. And it was sound judgment because he has the commensurate political survey to deliver as the GG. So we don't have any problem with that. The problem we have is we had a party called PDP that employed somebody at that level and gave him money authorized by the president. And he received it from the department he was reporting to, Office of the National Security Advisor. And they gave him the money. He did not choose any mode of payment. He was paid. He used it to run his office. And later on, he was subjected to the law.
So he was not aware that, you know, collecting such huge amounts of money without going through a financial institution is against the law.
He's not a lawyer. He made it clear that he was not aware. And you know, these are all relatively new laws. And nobody has been held accountable before then. So non-lawyers, in all honesty, will not be as, you know, will not have a mastery about the situation like lawyers would have done.
Okay, let me quickly go back to Felix Morka before I bring Dino back. I'm sure he's itching to respond because he just, you know, actually alluded to the fact that, well, Donyo Kukwe actually came from the cloth of the PDP. Dino, you were saying something?
Yeah, I said you're taking Felix Morka for a second round when I'm still waiting.
Go ahead.
Yeah, basically what I want to say is that before I respond to the last statement, I want to educate Felix that Atiku is not just a unifier, that he has met with the Wike group 5 times. And that is a capacity of leadership, that is a capability that he will use in uniting this country. He has shown maturity, he has shown a lot of dexterity, he has shown a lot of capacity. I haven't met with them 5 times. It is because of his political magnanimity, it is because of his maturity, it is because of his capacity to unite people together that all these 5 governors are still in PDP today. They have not moved out of PDP. Unlike their own party, where Dogara moved out, Babachir Lawal moved out. Today, the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria have no representation, his party have no representation in the National Assembly. His House of Rep member representing him in Daura moved out of the party to the PDP. The senator representing the president today moved out of APC to the PDP. But the Atiku has been able to hold these governors together, and they should wait to see how this will end. They are all going to work for their party. Democracy is noisy all over the world. In every family, there are bound to be disagreements. There is bound to be infraction. But have they denounced that family? I would say capital no to that. Then coming back to the issue of Labour Party and the insinuations created by the spokesperson of the Labour Party. Anyway, I will not want to go into the details of the Labour Party. As far as I'm concerned, it's like Andrew Liver salt. You know, once you pour into water, it bubbles, then after some minutes, it just goes down. It's an euphoria. With time, it will go. It will go away. Their time is evaporative and has an expiry date. I mean, the party itself. So what I'm saying in essence is that is Okonkwo telling us that their party did not carry out a due diligence before appointing a director general? This case precedes his appointment. Did you not carry out a due diligence to know if somebody is having a corruption case or not, or is having a criminal trial or not, or it has? So it speaks the type of party they are running. It speaks volume about the capacity and capability of the leadership of the party. And I am so surprised that Okonkwo is talking as if he has been a member of Labour Party since 1999. Himself and Peter Obi, who disobeyed Law 5 out of the 48 laws of power, understand, we are members of either APC or PDP even when funds were being purchased. Peter Obi bought PDP presidential form, filled it, submitted it, went around this country to campaign, and only few days before the presidential primaries jumped ship to the Labour Party. So that now makes Labour Party is now a new Peter Obi. Is now a new person that we don't know before? Few days even before the declaration of the Peter Obi as president. My brother, the spokesperson of Labour Party that is there in the studio with you now, or speaking, understand, was speaking for APC. Was defending APC. I watched this program on AIT.
Okay, I'll let him respond to that very quickly as soon as I'm done with Felix Morka.
PDP. The truth of the matter is we are talking about capacity and capability, and none of them match Atiku Abubakar in terms of experience, in terms of capacity, in terms of knowing this country, in terms of showing the political prowess to unite this country and solve the problems of insecurity.
Dino, you've made your point. Let me quickly go back to Felix Morka. Away from all of this back and forth. Well, President Muhammadu Buhari, quoting him, actually in response to a question as to what he would miss about Aso Rock, surprisingly said he would not miss anything about Aso Rock. It seems to be that he's in a hurry to just leave the place. I wonder what you can say to that. And interestingly too, for the first time, President Muhammadu Buhari showed some kind of humane side of himself when he talked about his health, his genotype, why he had to remarry to have more children, because unfortunately he had lost 2 children to sickle cell anemia. That was quite touching. And many Nigerians really have not seen that part of President Muhammadu Buhari. Who's to blame for that, really? Is it his handlers who missed the opportunity, to show this side of President Muhammadu Buhari's vulnerabilities?
When we speak about Mr. President, because he was a soldier, a general, had governed this country at some point in our political history, people tend to think of him as someone who is not just like any one of us. He's just like any one of us. He's a family man. He's someone who, has people who love him dearly, in his family and those, on the outside. But of course, Mr. President is also a very humane, candid individual. He has no airs about him. His modesty is unparalleled. So yes, whatever comments he makes, at this twilight period of his administration, he's been very candid and, with a lot of candor in his comments. But let me say something about the comments from my brother Dino. Atiku may have had 5 meetings or 20 meetings or 1 million meetings with, some of the governors who have declared, obviously their own party republic. But the question that Nigerians will want you to address, Dino, is what is the outcome of these meetings? The fact of the matter is that the PDP remains in tatters, in utter ruin, completely defying the promise and the so-called touted capacity of your presidential candidate to unite the party. He hasn't done that. And quite frankly, I do not have any hopes that he's going to do that, because he is grossly incompetent, doesn't even understand the fundamentals of the politics within his party, let alone understand what is required to bring Nigeria together and to move this country to where we need to be. So you know what? I'm not going to waste more time.
Let me put you on hold there because we don't have time. We have barely 2 minutes, Felix. We have barely 2 minutes. Let me bring it.
Just give me 1 second.
30 seconds.
Just give me a second to respond to Kenneth, if you may.
Very quickly, please.
I'd like to respond to Kenneth, but just of course, very quickly. Listening to Kenneth, lambast the PDP and talk about doing your look, the fact of the matter is that the Labour Party absolutely has no internal understandings of what is required when you hire a DG for a campaign. This fellow was on trial at the time he was hired. So, you know what? Listen, the rule of law and the rule of fair hearing and the rule of due diligence require that Labour Party, if you had any muster, any understanding of your duty, you ought to have completely audited Donyo Kupe before you hired him. You hired someone who was on trial, and when you're on trial, of course, the potential is that you're either convicted or you are acquitted. Either way, he was convicted. So you don't come on national television to tell us about how all the crime he was convicted of committing were conducted in the PDP. that is not an excuse. You simply just displayed your utter incompetence and lack of understanding of the rule of law.
Kenneth, respond to that.
Do you know, the last time I heard him talk, he said he was blind. And now that it's obvious he's still blind, he's not seeing. In 1
minute.
No,
right.
yes. The APC person, they hired a drug trafficker by the judgment of a court, and he has not resigned. Drug trafficker by the judgment of a court.
Yeah, but no
PDP,
court has
PDP
ruled on that drug trafficker that you talk about.
No, not 10 districts of Illinois courts, certified true copy, drug baron. The PDP man is talking about Atiku Abubakar. William Jefferson was sent to jail in America, and he said $100,000 bribe he took from Atiku Abubakar. Moreover, President Obasanjo said the worst mistake he has made on earth is hiring Atiku Abubakar to be the vice president. That is the most corrupt person on earth. Has he resigned? Doyin Okugbe resigned. Now, PDP, APC, two heads, one monster with two heads, PDAPC. Now, Dino Melaye and Atiku Abubakar left PDP, joined APC. Okay. They were the ones that brought Buhari to power. They destroyed APC, they destroyed PDP, and enthroned APC. I was not in APC then.
Does your Peter Obi have what it takes to change all of this dynamics in 30 seconds?
Peter Obi is on a mission.
What's that mission?
To stop the deterioration of Nigeria.
All right.
Peter Obi has a mission to change Nigeria from poverty to prosperity. Peter Obi has a mission with Dati Ahmed, a man of character, capacity, competence,
have to live with that.
To change this Nigeria.
Thank you very much.
And two of them, I'm inviting them to join this new way.
Gentlemen,
because they have
to say thank you very much for joining us.
We're talking about the new Nigeria.
Kenneth Okonkwo is, of course, spokesperson of Bidati Presidential Campaign Council. Felix Morka, APC spokesman, and Dino Melaye, also spokesman of the PDP Presidential Campaign Council. Thank you, all of you, for joining us.